Hey guys, still here and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. This is not a scenario video, but it does relate to the scenarios. Every day I get about a dozen, sometimes 24 scenarios submitted to me. At the moment I have 760 sitting in my inbox and I just cannot keep up. This means that a lot of scenarios are going to waste and a lot of you are getting disappointed and just waiting and waiting and waiting until your scenario gets featured. That's frustrating for both parties. So I think I have a solution. This is a solution that works through Patreon. I have created a new Patreon rank called the Naval Architect. By picking that rank, you'll be able to submit one scenario a month through a specific page that is only accessible to the Naval Architect tier. This means that I will only be getting 40 scenarios through that particular channel a month. And that is where the beauty comes in, because on Saturday and Sunday each week, I'll be doing the Patreon scenarios. This means that you have a chance of about 8 in 40, because you have 8 days and there are 40 scenarios, that your scenario will get picked. And of course, at the same time, you're supporting my channel. Now, it's not just that, because if you become a Patreon supporter, you also get voting rights. No matter what tier of Patreon support you provide, you get a voting right, and as the scenarios come in through the Naval Architect page, I'll be selecting the ones that I think have the most promise, and I'll be presenting those to the Patreons, so people can vote. And this is, of course, again, where your creativity comes in, because the better the synopsis, the better the summary of your scenario, the more likely it is that it will get picked. Now, at the end of the month, what happens? Because if I get 40 scenarios a month, it's just going to keep increasing and increasing and increasing, right? Well, no, because at the end of the month, I'll be removing all 40 scenarios, or rather, the 32 that have not been picked, and we're going to do a new round, which means that, once again, there will be 40 scenarios. I pick the best ones, you get to vote on those, and the winners get turned into scenarios. So, if you want to really get your scenario featured, if you like my content, and if you want to support me on Patreon, then pick the Naval Architect tier. And through that, you can then immediately submit your scenario. This is an experiment. It is there to make sure that I don't get completely buried in scenarios, and that you get that itch fulfilled where you really want to get your scenario featured. I realize it's not going to be for everyone, and that's okay. If you want to become a supporter, there is a link down below in the description where you can support me and, of course, submit your submit your scenario. And if you don't want to submit your scenario, but if you do want to get voting rights, then just visit the Patreon page in general, pick a tier that suits your fancy, and you will get a voting right to make sure that you can pick, or at least have an influence on, what scenarios get featured. Now, a very important point that I do want to hammer home: becoming a Patreon supporter at the Naval Architect rank does not guarantee that I pick your scenario. This is very important. It is not a buy your scenario a video way. It's just not going to work that way. It is a dramatic increase in your chances, especially if you write your scenario very well and your synopsis gets, or let's say your synopsis appeals to other patrons, that you're going to get your scenario featured. Alright. That is all for this vid. Link down below in the description if you want to become a Naval Architect and if you want to support me and my Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts videos. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with.